for the next 2 hours. We already saw a shot of Wilbur Ross, the legendary turnaround guy, mega bucks, CEO of WL Ross and Company, frequent guest host. Love to have you on, Wilbur. And I want to get started right away with that. What you saw yesterday, did it make sense? The mortgage proposal. And I can also tell you, we immediately get pretty good feedback from the American public about how they feel about things like this. And to help out people in distress doesn't go over well with people that have not splurged. I got one right here that hasn't bought bedroom furniture in 30 years or whatever, and we're bailing out, people that were profligate.
So you're going to take up a collection for Becky today?
No, it's not that. I understand when people hit hard times doing it, but how do you settle this question of not rewarding bad behavior? I think that's where people really get into it.
And my attitude is more, if we're going to do this, let's nape the area. Let's get it done. We don't want to have to do this again.
Yeah, I don't think this really quite gets it done. Put in perspective, Obama said that it will save 9 million people's homes. It's only $75 billion, and it's over 5 years. That's a little bit over $8,000 per person, per family, divided by 5 years, $1,600. Does anybody really think that all that keeps 9 million people from losing their homes is $1,600 a year? I don't think so.
So you would have done what? You would have cut into principal? Yeah,
I think they have to reduce the principal amount of loans, not just non-performing, but also the performing ones. Why should a guy who's not paying benefit, whereas some poor citizen who's struggling to make the payments get stuck with the mortgage?
Wait a second, you're talking about basically buying all of our homes?
No, not buying. What I felt they should do is government match whatever reduction in principal private sector lender would be willing to make. That would automatically cut the mortgage payment. But the more important thing, are people really going to pay a mortgage if their home is 10-20% underwater? I think it's a very debatable premise because they're not getting anything back for it. And I think it's why the FDIC program had such a high recidivism rate. After 6 months, more than 50% of those people went back into default. Mm-hmm. So I think if you're going to deal with it, you really have to deal with it in a severe way.
Why then are people like Jamie Dimon saying that the plan is, in his words, really elegant and really well designed?
Well, if I had TARP money, I suppose I would be a creature of the government too.
So you just don't want to...
Wait a second. You're saying that he is talking the government's book because he's bought in with TARP?
Well, you notice Vikrim Pandit suddenly came out for Citibank in favor of letting bankruptcy judges compromise mortgages, whereas that's the first time any big bank, to my knowledge, has ever said one kind word for that.
Wow. Wait, you think all of these bankers that have taken TARP money are compromised at this point? Yeah.
Well, they have a big new shareholder, big new investor. It's clear government is playing a big role in those institutions. Why else did Pandit suddenly have a conversion to where he likes the idea of letting a bankruptcy judge tell him how big his mortgage really is?
So you think if these guys really want to be believed, they have to give back the TARP money?
Well, I think they're going to start to find a way when markets settle down to give it back, not so much for that reason, but to get out from under the bonus and comp proposals.
There is the Journal has one anecdote, Shore Bank Shares, I think in Maryland or somewhere, whose board gave them authorization to give the money back. Because this is just, I guess for some, it's just getting too onerous, the terms, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not familiar with Shore Bank, so I don't know their picture, but if anything, the Citibanks of this world are likely to need more TARP money, not less. So I don't think they're in the same position as Shore would be.
We don't need any more guests. I was thinking I could have, this Bloom guy? You know him?
Ron Bloom, yes, I do.
Him?
Yeah, I do, sure, because he was on the other side when we were doing the steel industry.
He was on the other side. Is he tough at fair?
I would say tough, very smart, very well informed.
Not fair?
Well, fair, sure. But fair is a funny word to use in a negotiating context,
Exactly.
I think he will get to the bottom of what's needed. And I think the great thing is, well, he comes from the labor movement. I think he's basically a pragmatist. He's not just some ideologue. He's not anti-management or anything of that sort. But he's also going to make sure, as I think Mr. Gettelfinger from UAW will anyway, that the unions don't give anything disproportionate to what the bondholders give.
Right now, the bondholders are saying they're giving disproportionately to what the union's giving.
Well, we don't know what the bondholders are giving. I haven't seen a real proposal.
They're saying they get 33 cents on the dollar and that VEBA gets 50 cents.
Well, that's where their bonds are trading, is around 33 cents. But that was true independently of this bailout program.
The stimulus package, have you read the 1,000 pages?
Most of them.
What is anything you like about it, anything you dislike about it?
Yeah, I think there are some parts about it that are good. I think, though, it's not going to be a silver bullet that solves everything in a very, very short order. By the nature, even the tax things are going to take some months to start. Then they come in very gradually over time. The infrastructure things come in certainly very slowly over time. You probably saw the article in yesterday's paper, State of New York, which is getting quite a few billion for infrastructure, isn't sure where to spend it. Well, how is that shovel ready when you don't even know where to spend the $4 billion? So I think it's a good idea, but it's going to take a while. So to me, the earliest anything good will happen is sometime in 2010.
And we have this long laundry list of things to think about. We talked about autos, housing, joblessness here in the States. Now people are suddenly waking up to Central and Eastern Europe and all the money that they lent to Latvia and Hungary. Is that how high on your radar is that?
Oh, that's pretty high, but also some of Western Europe. You know, there's now this new acronym, PIGS, standing for Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and Spain. So we've gone from BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, to PIGS.
Yeah, and that's not a good term either.
Not a good term, and that's because
really
those are the
two I's.
Sorry, two I's. Well, you can't expect economists to know how to spell.
I was going to say that didn't make sense. The spelling. Yeah.
Yeah, Ireland.
Well, it's my pronunciation. It's pig.
Ireland. Yeah, Ireland, Italy.
What are those big German banks supposed to do? I mean, they can't. That part of Europe is a quarter of their exports. So they got to continue to do more vendor financing, right?
Well, one of the big questions is there's been the theory too big to fail. There's a new theory that perhaps some of the banks relative to their country are too big to save. You know, if a bank is more than the whole gross domestic product of the country, how do you go about saving?
A lot more from Wilbur for the next couple of hours. We're lucky to have him here on an important day.